Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tilted Table. We are very excited to have you all joining us this week. We're doing things a little bit differently today because we're playing a storytelling game, which we have done in the past, but as most of you know, we definitely do a lot of board games, so this is going to be a nice change of pace for us. Some quick introductions, though, first. My name is Jordan, aka Axel Hellfire.
I'm Sam, aka DJ Fluffkins, aka the guy who forgot how to do the intro.
Yep. And we are joined today by our special guest, who is the designer of tonight's game. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us about this game.
Hello. Pronounce his name. Do it.
Yeah. I'm Hakan, and we can just leave it at Hakan. But yeah, this is a game that I co-designed with Catherine Himes called Dialect. As we talked about before, it's a story game, so it's a cooperative game. There's no winning or losing. We're all just going to tell a story together. And we're going to be telling the story of a community that's gone into isolation through the lens of their language. So every turn of the game, we're going to build the language, change the language, and see how that informs the story overall. So
cool.
Awesome. And we have a viewer-submitted summary of the game, or intro. Welcome, bonjour, aloha, ciao, hola, hello. Language is great, right? Savor it while you can, because tonight we'll be digging its grave.
goodness.
So get some popcorn, snacks, and drinks. Get in your $1,000 gaming chair or $5 lawn chair, and then forget everything you know about the humanoid race's form of vocabulary and definitions, because once again, we'll be shanking it in the back till it's dead.
Perfect.
I love
That's
that.
very well put.
That's
Dude, he's
fantastic.
so violent.
All right, cool. So it sounds like we're ready to get started.
Yeah.
Cool.
Turn it down a little bit.
All right, so the way every game of Dialect works is we're going to start by picking a backdrop to play in.
Cool.
So each of these is going to be a different story, a different setting in which to tell our story. We might be the Martian outpost that's stranded and hasn't heard from Earth in a while. We might be kids at remote English boarding school. We could play in a cyberpunk setting. For this game here, I would probably recommend playing the abandoned Martian outpost one,
Nice.
just because we're playing for the first time, and it's a nice one to play in where we all have kind of a common frame of reference, and we can get moving fairly quickly on it. So we'll start with the outpost. Sound good? All right. So the first thing we do after picking a backdrop is read the description. So I'll go ahead and read that, and then this is going to form the bones of our story, and then we're going to fill in all the specifics with some questions that we're going to answer immediately as we go along. So, the outpost. 2,000 brave souls, we departed Earth in the year 2045 as part of the first Martian expeditionary outpost. When we first left, we were told there would be more to follow, but in reality, there never were. Over the 5 years that we've been on Mars, communications have broken down, and it has been years since we've heard from Earth. Like it or not, the Red Planet is now home. I know, heartbreaking.
They just wanted to get rid of us.
Rip Earth.
Yeah, that very well might be the case. We'll define it in just a second. So, but we will show these barren, hostile wastes what we're truly made of and what it means to do more than survive. So, for the outpost. Now, the way every game starts, after having read the description, is going to be to generate 3 aspects for our community. So, throughout this game, we're going to be making language together, right? That's the core tenet of the game. But the language isn't going to be built out of nothing, right? It's going to be built off of important things that define us and who we are, as well as big things that might happen to us. So we're going to define those with 3 aspects that we defined at the beginning. The way that we're going to define these aspects is I'm going to read 3 questions one at a time, and we're each going to pick one that we think would be fun to play with, right? We're going to answer them together, and we're going to pick answers.
Okay.
So, the first question. We are chosen. What brought us all together for the mission? So what do we think may have brought us together for this mission that we were later left on Mars and abandoned for?
We were all orphans.
We're all orphans. We had no one on Earth.
I was gonna say prisoners, like we're the
Okay, that's a
Space
good one
Australia.
too. That's a good one too.
Prisoner orphans sounds
We're like exiled prisoner orphans.
incredibly, yeah. Yeah, let's start with prisoners, but we can also bring the orphan thing in during play, right?
Yeah.
So I think prisoners is a really nice one to start with. So we'll start with prisoners.
Yeah, it's Mars Australia.
Yeah. Possible orphans. Maybe. Cool. All right, so that's our first aspect. The second one is the red planet. What about the planet defines daily life for us? So this could be something like a geographic feature, a natural disaster, or something very different too. It could be that there's actual life we've encountered there. It could be anything.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is sandstorms based on the movie The Martian.
Sure. Sandstorms is always a great one.
Stealing someone else's story.
I mean, maybe we're doing like terraforming or something like that to try and make it habitable, and they're just using the prisoners for labor.
Yeah, that would be
So,
great.
like, maybe we're just constantly working on this terraforming project.
I like that one, especially because the book actually has an example, and prisoners and sandstorms are two of the aspects in the example in the book. So let's go with the terraforming one instead, I think. Terraforming the surface.
At least it wasn't prisoners in slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too with the sandstorms. I think that's the one thing in The Martian that the author had said like that he knew was factually inaccurate when he was writing it, because
Right.
like there's no way it would be like strong enough to actually push someone down.
Right.
But it was like too dramatically good, so he had to do it. And so the last one is a free aspect, so we'll get to choose what the last one's going to be. So we have that we are prisoners. We have that we're terraforming the surface of Mars, and then we're going to decide one more thing about the community that's really going to define us and make us special, that we're going to use to develop language as we go along. So what do we think that one could be? So ones that I
I just wanted to double check. So the setting is that we have lost contact with Earth?
Yes, but we haven't defined why yet,
Okay.
right? It could have been us, it could have been them. We're going to answer a few more questions to fill in the setting in a second. And so that's when we'll actually answer it. So let's see, for our last free aspect, I've played some where there's been like some overarching like cultural activity that we all engage in, which I always think is really fun, like a major sports kind of thing. Which I always enjoy.
I was going dark.
Oh yeah,
I was
what
going
was
to
your
like
dark
we're
one
running
gonna
out
be?
of food.
Oh, nice.
Like we've been there for 5 years, and like our like production is not keeping
Sure.
up to what we need.
Yeah. Well, we are doing the terraforming one, so it's
Yeah.
possible that we'll be able to explore that a little bit with the terraforming aspect as well. I'd
fair.
like this to make this a little bit more defining. Like, why aren't we just a bunch of prisoners who went to Mars and now we're stuck there?
Right.
Like, let's try and make something that like really defines us as being special in some way.
I think chat should come up with this one.
Yeah.
Quickly.
If
Orphan
chat has some
prisoners?
good ideas,
I would love to get an aspect
what's a
from
very
chat.
unique aspect that we could add to this story that doesn't necessarily build off of these two, but is like just a totally different thing that we can bring in?
Exactly, something that's a little orthogonal to the other ones.
Yeah, because the first thing I thought of was more along the lines of building off of this, but I get what you're saying about it being like more.
Yeah, just a different dimension
Yeah.
in some way.
Exactly.
Pick chat.
So defining.
Or if there's a rivalry or a truce going on between them. Yeah. It could be that we are like particularly trained in like negotiation. Could be that like democratic values or like something like that societally like defines us in some way.
This is making me think of a book series I've been reading.
Oh yeah, what's the book series?
Red Rising.
I don't know it.
Oh my god. So it is a book series about basically people who left human civilization left Earth, came to Mars, colonized it and most of the rest of the solar system. But on Mars in particular, they had people who they brought in to like mine underground to help terraform, and they built this whole caste system by color.
Oh, yeah.
And the Reds were the people who lived in the mines underground, and they just lied to them constantly and told them that the project was still ongoing. And what they didn't know is that actually on the surface, the terraforming was done.
Okay.
And there were higher castes of society living on the surface, but they just kept the Reds in slavery.
Jeez, that's pretty dark.
That's what that made me think of. It's a really good series.
Oh, let's see. That definitely sounds reasonable.
What if it's like, okay, I'm picking on this just because I saw coffee.
Yeah.
Like, what if it's like, it's no longer possible to grow coffee on Earth?
Oh,
And like
so
one and like one of the reasons was to like basically like we were here to plant species that like
So like maybe we're agriculture specialists.
yes.
yeah, with specific like crops, especially like maybe like luxury goods, or maybe it's just coffee. Yeah. Let's do coffee harvesting. I think that's a great one.
Maybe we're not state prisoners. Maybe we're corporate prisoners.
Ooh.
We all work for Monsanto.
Yeah.
Only one of us
Oh,
here
sorry.
worked for
I
Monsanto.
meant buyer.
All right, coffee harvesting will be the last one. So we're doing a lot of terraforming of the surface. We all were prisoners back on Earth, and coffee harvesting in the biomes for some like reason that we'll define in the fiction is like a really defining part
Right.
of like
We're
why
trying to
here.
save coffee.
Exactly. Or we were before when we were like actually communicating with Earth, right? So the next thing we'll do is we'll each answer one question to fill in some of the gaps in the world so far, right? So now we have really the bones and foundation, and now we're going to kind of give it a little bit more form.
Okay.
So Sam, I'd love to start with you, if that's okay.
Sure.
So how did communications break down with Earth? Which one of our aspects played a role in this? Is the first question.
Ooh. Maybe like a freak terraforming accident.
Yeah. So like, do you think that the like original communications equipment was like in a particular biome that we were trying to like terraform a certain way?
Corrupted by the terraforming process somehow.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sounds perfect. And oh yeah, I wonder how does it get corrupted by a terraforming process? Were we actually like trying to get like rain and different types of moisture in there, and like that did something, or were there actual
Maybe we
animals
caused
that
a
we had?
thunderstorm and it like
Oh, that's true.
there was
yeah.
like a lightning strike.
Yeah, they like overloaded
Perfect.
the circuits and
We weren't prepared for that because we didn't have any thunderstorms on the planet.
and we always assumed that we'd keep getting restocked,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's
they haven't
perfect.
sent us anything. So
Yeah, and so they weren't sending stuff for a while, but we were still talking to them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna come." And then communications broke down, and now nothing's coming, and we don't know where the hell they are. Right? That's kind of what's going on. All right. So next question: how do we produce basic necessities of life?
I would say that we probably have a store of like basic supplies that we've brought with us that we can use. We have like some equipment that we use to manufacture it into like basic sustenance. And it's running low because the supplies haven't been showing up. The one thing we do have a lot of is coffee.
Yeah.
We have a lot of like coffee beans because we want to plant it.
Are we able to grow anything with our terraforming, or has that not been as successful?
I would say that we probably are just starting to try it because we just had that thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So we figured out how to produce some sort of rain. So now we have some moisture, and now we're like trying to plant things and trying to get seedlings to survive. We're not sure yet whether it'll be successful.
Perfect. All right, and the last one for me is, what type of structures do we live in? Are there places for communal gatherings? So while we were describing this, I couldn't help but have like some biomic thing in mind, right? In terms of like big spheres over the planet, maybe like particularly hastily assembled, but they're also big enough, I think, that we can actually form these like weather systems inside of them, right? So we're not talking about a sphere that is like,
It's not like a building.
exactly, it's bigger, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not talking about like 50 feet, we're talking about like 500 feet,
Right.
maybe, right? Like something that's gigantic,
Yeah.
and maybe there's just like a handful of them, but big enough to actually form.
It's like at least the size of a city.
Yeah, like a really small city,
Yeah.
but still like
Yeah.
one where lots of people can live in a single one.
Yeah.
Cool, that sounds great. And so now the next thing that we're going to do, so now we have the world, right? We've defined the backdrop, we've defined the important aspects that we're going to focus on, and before we go into actually telling the story and building the language, the last thing that we're going to do is actually generate characters, which is going to be a fairly quick process in Dialect. So the way this works is each one of us is going to get 3 of these voice cards,
Okay.
which are going to define different archetypes that we get to pick. So, for example, the ones that I have here are the Innocent, the Magician, and the Protector, right? Okay,
Yeah, I was going to give the close-up here.
Oh, thank you.
You can hold it up to the camera for him.
Yeah, so I have the Protector, the Magician, and the Innocent, each of which define a different type of character that I might be playing over the course of the game, right? So what we're going to do is each of us pick one of the archetypes that sound fun to us, and then we'll go around and I'll explain what to do next after we each pick the one that we want.
Wait, so are we supposed to do this part?
Oh, we'll do that later. For now, just pick the archetype that you think would be fun, and then I'll explain what you do with the rest of the card afterwards. Cool. So what did everyone pick? I have the Protector.
I have the Oracle.
The Oracle, very nice.
I have the Scrounger.
And the Scrounger, good. I think the Scrounger is going to be important. All right, so what we'll do next is each of us is going to actually give a short introduction about the character that we're thinking about playing. So the way introductions are going to work is first we're just going to get a little card and we fold them over like this. So here you go. And here we go, Sam.
Cool.
And one for me.
Totally works.
Yeah. Oh, it was meant to write your name on.
Yeah.
But,
I was just messing.
and what we're going to do, what an introduction is going to be, is it's going to be a name, a role. So what role do you play in the community? And there are sample names that you can pick from for the name as well. And your relationship to the aspects. So this is the last thing on the card, right? Fundamentally, the most important way in which you define your character is going to be how they relate to the different aspects of the community. Stuff like so here for the Protector, it says you identify with all but one aspect, you fear the remaining one, right? So something about one of the aspects is going to be a source of fear for my character, the Protector, right? So even though these are big, important parts of the community, not everyone's going to feel the same way about them. That's going to help define how they relate to the language as the game goes on as well. Once again, that's a name, a role, and your relationship to the aspects. And here are some example names. And so I'll just give us a couple minutes while we each come up with it. And then we'll go ahead and give our introductions. Make sense?
Can you pass me a thing to write with?
Oh, yes. Here we go.
Oh, perfect. All right, so a name, a role, and
Yeah, and you just have to write the name and the role on the card. No, a role that they
what?
play in the community.
Got it. Okay. Good call, Goofy. As the Oracle, I predict how the game ends. My first prediction is that I win the game.
All right, so I'll be like a Timmons. Oh, if you wanted find an example name list as well. It's this one. All right, I think the Protector is going to be a weather engineer who works with the terraforming and makes sure that like things are actually set up correctly.
I said I'm going to be Goofy Coopster.
Goofy Coopster.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who fixes things.
I fix things, yeah.
Nice. And you're the Scrounger. That makes sense. And your
I'm going to be Kensa.
Kensa.
No last name. Communications expert.
Oh, well, you're doing a great job.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Wow, what a failure.
Yep.
At least we all have someone to blame. Cool. So now we'll go around once, and you'll give a short little introduction to how you see your character being. And the last thing you'll do after you give the name, a role, and like a little brief introduction about them is talk about the relationship to the aspects, right, as defined by the card. So I'll start. So my archetype is the Protector. Steadfast and secure. You are the shield that guards the isolation, either from outside or within. People talk to you about safety. So, like a Timmins, I'm seeing as someone who works with the terraforming systems, right? She's one of the people who controls how the biomes operate in terms of the interior moisture levels, in terms of like how they actually are set up. And it's the main way in which we're able to survive on the planet. So I kind of see her as someone who's like a little shorter, a little more bookish, but someone who, because of her specialty, when she was recruited in, actually is one of the sole reasons why we're able to survive, right? So she's actually protecting us from all of the external kind of hazards. Her relationship to the aspects is that she identifies with all but one, and she fears the remaining one. So let me see. I think, well, she definitely identifies with terraforming the surface, right? Because that's fundamentally what she does. I think that, let's see. And the coffee harvesting would be an easy one to fear, because like that's probably counterproductive to our actual survival.
Right.
But I think it would be more interesting if she fears the fact that we're prisoners, right? So she identifies with the terraforming the surface, and maybe back on Earth she actually worked for the coffee harvesting company, right? And that's how she gained these skills. So that's why she identifies with that one. But she fears the prisoners aspect. I think maybe because she is a weather engineer, right? And she did work for that company. She actually wasn't one of the prisoners who was brought up here, right? She comes from a different background. And she fundamentally doesn't trust the fact that so much of us were forced to be here, and thinks that that's a big risk for the community in the long run. So that's Leica.
Cool.
And Sam, whenever you're ready.
So I am Goofy Coopster. I fix things. I'm the Scrounger. When something's in short supply here, we rely on you to gather whatever scraps of it we can get. People talk to you about getting what they need. And then I identify with two of the aspects. One of the aspects is causing scarcity. So I would say, like, my way of thinking about it is that, you know, like, the trip here was always meant to be a one-way trip. We weren't provided with the materials to go home. So we got sent extra materials with the idea that, like, hey, if we need to, you know, fix things or build things, we can basically deconstruct the ship to do that. And so, like, that's why I'm here, because like I'm very scrappy about fixing things.
You're good at deconstructing things in that way too.
I think I identify, so like I was a prisoner and the coffee harvesting, I think it's, you know, I got in trouble because coffee had become so scarce that I just like started stealing it, and I was like, you know, very passionate about taking it from the rich people, because it used to be a, you know, like,
you're like the
something for everyone. And then I would say the terraforming is causing the scarcity.
Perfect. And why is the terraforming causing the scarcity in that case?
I think it's probably, it's a good point. I think there's an internal disagreement on what we should be focusing on with the terraforming.
Sure.
And I think some people are like, think we should essentially just like keep going and knowing that people will fix things. The other people want to actually take away some of the equipment that we were using to focus on terraforming to repair communications and get off. Like, people are just really afraid that we're stuck here forever and we're going to die because we're going to run out of food.
And what part of that does Goofy Coopster lie on? does Goofy think that we should actually disassemble some of the biomes, or?
Yeah, I think we're in it for the long haul. So we should try to invest more in the terraforming and just try to make it survivable here, because I'm skeptical that the people who sent us here have our best interests at heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, and the Oracle, Kensa.
Yes, I am Kensa, the Oracle, also communications expert. You know what's coming for us, and we believe you. At least most of us do. People talk to you about predictions. So I identify with two of the aspects. One of our aspects will be our ruin.
Oh God.
So I identify with being prisoners and the connection that we have with the people back on Earth, because I'm the one who's responsible for maintaining the communications. Was. Yeah. I mean, potentially still am, but it's down.
Yeah.
And I identify with the terraforming the surface because I think it's how we survive out here. What I think is going to be our ruin is the coffee harvesting, because I think that it distracts us from our survival.
Yeah.
And it is a purely, it's something that we don't actually need, but it's the thing that we were brought here to do. And so the dispute over that and our purpose is what's going to cause our ruin.
Yeah, totally.
That is what I've predicted.
Perfect. Yeah, and it sounds like...
And I come down on the opposite side of him.
Yeah.
Because unlike Goofy, I think we do need to get communications back up because that's my thing.
Yeah,
right?
you're all about that.
And we need to...
Maybe you shouldn't have let it fuck up in the first place. Didn't you see the storm coming?
That's your job. Your job.
No, I deal with the storms inside the bubbles.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. And I assume then that the state of routine at the moment is because everything was set up for coffee harvesting, and we're still, at least some of us are still anticipating that we will reestablish communications and get back to Earth. Is that we are still stockpiling to some extent, like coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
I would even go so far as to say that, going back to reference what we established earlier about how we've got the rain and we're starting to try and plant stuff, is that there is a disagreement over how much of the land should be used for planting coffee versus things that we need to survive.
Yeah, totally.
And that is the thing that I am worried about as the Oracle, is that we basically should not be focusing on coffee at all because we currently have no communications. We have no way to tell them we're in trouble, and we are running out of food, so we need to plant everything that is a staple and forget the coffee.
No, that makes a ton of sense and would be very logical. And of course won't be followed because of that.
Right. Instead of Oracle, this should just say Cassandra.
Perfect.
Be the
all right.
opposite.
Let me just do one quick thing. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to get into the normal flow of play. The way this works is we're each going to have a handful of story cards in our hand. A handful being defined as 3.
Okay.
And every turn of Dialect is 3 phases. Make a connection, build a word, have a conversation. And I'll explain what each of those are right now.
Okay.
And I'll do that by taking the first turn. So in Make a Connection, you'll take one of the cards in your hand. These aren't really secret. You don't have to, you'll take one of them in your hand and you'll connect that concept to one of the aspects at the table. And in doing so, you'll explain why we have a special word for that particular thing because of that aspect in the community, right? So for example, work. Here it says, work, the isolation is no stranger to work and toil, our daily grind and duty. This is how we refer to that which must be done, right? So I could say, okay, I think we have a special word for work because of the coffee harvesting, right? Because so much of our lives were defined around actually harvesting coffee, right? I think that was really fundamental to how most of us spent our days. And so we have a special word for work because of that, that's based on that. So now I've made the connection, but I haven't defined what the word is yet. The next phase of the turn is build a word, and this is communal. So here we'll have a discussion about what we think this new word is going to be based on that connection that I just made. right? And since it's my turn, I'll be the one who actually makes the decision about what makes it into the language, right? Which word we actually go with. But we'll each get to give suggestions as to what that might be. But for example, if I just had the perfect word in mind, I just pick it and we could go with it, for example. But yeah, does anyone have any feelings for what our word for work could be, given that all of us are dealing with copy harvesting? And the grind is a little too on the nose for me. Yeah?
It's kofefe.
Little.
We finally have a definition.
That's what it actually was. It was a very prescient tweet when it came out.
It's kofefe.
It's very possible.
Just the first thing that came to mind when you put it over here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm actually okay with that.
I think I'm looking for something that gives us a little bit more of a story there. But yeah, what could it be? So I wonder what's actually working with the coffee harvesting entails for us.
Well, we don't have anything to harvest yet because we're still trying to grow it. There's a whole process involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, normally
maybe
it would
it's
be.
I'm trying to think of a good word.
Yeah, because normally it would be like we would pick the berries, then we would like roast them, and all that stuff, right? But in this situation, we didn't even have that. Like, we didn't even get to that stage yet.
Yeah,
We've just been kind of tilling the soil.
Yeah, we're mostly tilling.
Yeah.
That's the word I was thinking of.
And maybe that's it. Like, I like this image that our word for working is just tilling, because it also implies that there is no success, right? Like, we're just kind of like...
I'm just going to go out tilling.
Soil. Yeah. There's nothing to pick, right? There's nothing to harvest. We're just going to keep tilling.
I'm going out to the till.
Yeah, the till.
Goofy, what you missed is that we're working on defining words. So we have the connection, which is that the word that we're defining is work, and the connection is to our coffee harvesting aspect. And so the word that we have come up with is the till, is the word that we use to reference doing work.
Yep, and in this case, it could have either been working specifically with coffee, or it could be like work as a whole.
Right.
And I think we chose it to mean our word for work as a whole.
Yeah.
Right?
So it is literally just like that word that we use to reference anytime you go do any work.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll be out at the till, you'll be out tilling, anything like that, right?
I like it.
So we had make a word, we had make a connection, which was the first phase of my turn. Then we had build a word, the till, which is going to be our word for work. And the last thing is have a conversation. So on the bottom of the card, which right here, there will be a prompt for a conversation, right? So on this one here, at the bottom it says, the work we must do and the toll it takes, right? So I will pick some subset of players here to have a short conversation that's prompted by that little passage, the work we must do and the toll it takes. And the restriction is going to be that both the people in the conversation have to either use the new word or conspicuously avoid using it if it's something that you really, like your character really would not use. Right? But the default is that you'll usually both use the word in conversation. So now we'll think, so who would like I have a conversation about work with? Certainly Goofy and probably have to work together a lot, right? Because I always need stuff to actually keep the weather systems functioning. Kensa would also make sense, but I think Goofy Coopster is the probably more natural choice here.
Cool.
So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll go and we'll each reference the till in some way during it, and now we can set the scene and discuss like what we might be talking about before we actually jump in. But yeah, I can just believe that that like often needs parts and stuff from you. You visit Goofy the Coopster. Yep.
Yes.
And but what kind of toll do you think that's taking on Goofy? Right? Like, because we're talking about the toll it takes. Or is it a toll that it's taking on Leica?
Are you being stretched thin by all these requests from people?
Probably. So, yeah, everyone thinks that what they're doing or what they're tilling is the most important thing. And we're getting to the point where we don't have enough, like...
Perfect. Just not enough stuff to break down anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that sounds great. All right, so let's say that Leica's called you into, like, maybe there's a central weather control chamber where Leica's always working from, right? And you come in and she turns around from the big control panel, right? And she goes, Goofy, I thought you were out tilling all yesterday. There's like 7 of these parts that I needed in order to set up Biome 6. And I only got shipment notifications for like 2 of them.
Yeah, I've been tilling my ass off trying to find the other 5. The only way we can do it is to break down some other stuff we have, and no one wants to. Everyone wants to keep their materials. No one wants to stop focusing on what they're working on to help support this cause.
Look, I don't care whatever kind of empty till that they're working on here. We got important stuff to do. This is how we're going to stay alive, is only if we have biomes to get inside of, right? So you break down whatever they have to do, right? Tell them that I said it was okay.
I've tried, but they just, when they find out that I'm doing the work for you, they're not very happy. They blame you for the communication breakdown.
They blame me. Kensa's been saying that? Is that what's
Yeah.
happening?
Yes.
I can't believe it.
They said you were overzealous with the weather, and all of a sudden this lightning strike completely blew apart the communications equipment, and so they're blaming you, and they know you're the only person who's really needing to build new things at this point, and so they're protecting their equipment.
Look, Kensa's been tilling that same damn empty patch for the last 3 weeks, so I don't know where they're getting off on this. You go and I'll get you authorization. You can break down some of that old system.
Yeah, I could talk to them, but I don't know if they're. If you get Kensa to say okay, then I'll till what I need to get your machines working. But Kensa's pretty scary.
Kensa doesn't need to say it's okay. I said it was okay. All right, and maybe we can just end that scene
Okay.
there. Sound good?
I like it.
All right. And so during that scene too, we started playing with some variations on till, right? And so that's stuff that you're welcome to do. Like, I tried to use like till in the same patch to mean like you're just doing bullshit work, right? And
like that.
different things like that. And so there we go. And so now we have our first word. And I'll draw a card from the second age where the words we get to define will be slightly different. But now we have our first one. And we'll go around once, and that'll be age 1, and then we'll move on to age 2.
Great.
The game will take place over 3 ages. So Sam, whenever you're ready,
Cool.
you can make a connection by tying one of the concepts in your hand to one of the aspects at the table.
I feel like I want to use technology,
Yeah.
and I want to link that to the terraforming. Or
What does the card say?
a vital tool for the isolation. It may be something from the outside world, or we've developed ourselves.
Yeah, and what do you want to define a word for? What piece of technology?
I think the actual equipment that we use to do the terraforming, to do the heavy lifting. So I think we were probably all sent here because we realized the simplest way was to build technology that needed manual intervention. So that's why we didn't send a bunch of engineers. We sent a bunch of prisoners
Right.
who could just figure out how to use the hardware to do the stuff.
So there's still something manual in this process, right? It isn't just like press a button. And, like,
Right.
it's
We're not just sending like 20,000 Mars rovers to do everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
And so, but what you're envisioning is the terraforming systems themselves, not like the biomes, not anything like that.
Correct.
Like there's a system on the inside that actually handles the terraforming.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds great.
Wonder
let's see
Wizard
what we might be able to
11,
talk about.
welcome to the table.
Hello. All right. Yeah. Let's think of what a good word for those might be. What do you have?
There we go. There it is.
Hello. I was warned about that. Yeah. Let's see. I kind of like what was the image you had in your head of the terraforming systems themselves?
So I thought they were just like a variety of like different, like essentially like robots that we'd like get into.
Like
And then-
mechs.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
I like it.
So
Yeah.
like inside of the biome, like we get into these like mechs, and then those are the things that like actually
They have like
we use to
different
change
jobs.
the atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's different ones that do different things. Yeah.
So is there one that like pumps moisture out, and there's another one that you can use to like change the soil composition or like
Right.
do
Yeah.
different things?
Yeah.
Cool.
Something for digging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Let's see, what can we call these things?
Suits.
Yeah. The suits, that's a good one. Let's see. The suits, the harvester, the
Bodies.
The body. Yeah. Instead of bodies, it's BOTTIES.
bodies.
I like
pretty
it.
The
cute.
bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your decision whenever you hear one that you like.
I mean that actually sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, bodies. I love
Bodies.
it. So I'll write that down.
BOTTIES. Bodies.
And those are the suits, the terraforming suits.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, then what's your prompt for a conversation?
Technology gone wrong.
All right. And who would you have a conversation about technology going wrong with? Suits.
I feel like I would talk to Kensa about this.
Sure.
Yeah, how do both of you relate to the bodies in that case? Like Goofy, I assume that you use them for like, do you actually use them for different tasks or?
Yeah, I mean I fix them, so I gotta make sure they work.
Yeah, totally.
You probably have like a scavenger body that you use to like go retrieve shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably have
Like
one of those.
no one
too.
else knows how to use or something.
Oh yeah, Goofy's own hacked together body.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I would say Kensa probably doesn't use the bodies. Kensa's like super focused on like the comms array and that sort of thing. Doesn't do a lot of the manual labor stuff. And is just like very hyper focused on this singular problem.
Well, so I think what's happening is that some of the bodies are starting to go wrong,
Yeah.
and I'm hearing rumors that it's Kensa stealing parts for their to fix the comms equipment.
Unsubstantiated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
And so the only restriction on this conversation is that you'll have to use the word bodies. But feel free to go back to Till as well. The more words we can work in, the more it'll sound like our own language as we're playing. Cool. So let's go, Goofy.
Yeah,
The conversation's happening.
So Kensa, my scavenger body has been acting up, and I noticed that some of the like relays that it uses are missing, and I know you're the only one else fixing your comms array now, so are you stealing my parts?
Look, I had to borrow them to see if I could get something together. I mean, come on. The bodies are not that important. We need to be able to talk to people and tell them what's going on with the till. If they don't get any progress updates, then everything we're doing down here is going to be meaningless, because then they're not going to be able to send us any replacement parts or even the upgraded bodies that they've been working on.
And if the bodies don't work now, then we're not going to survive for that. There's no results that we're going to be able to show them. You think they're just going to send us supplies for no results?
Look, you're resourceful. Just go out to the till, get some more replacement parts for your body. I needed these specific parts in order to get everything up and working.
If I didn't need those parts to get my body working, then I wouldn't have come. Like, I wouldn't be so angry with you right now.
Which I am.
Which I am.
Well, look, there's a couple bodies out on the till across the way that aren't being used. See if you can scavenge some parts from them.
I don't know how much Leica would like that.
Look, we don't need another repeat of that disaster with the weather.
You need to take it up with Leica, because Leica's telling me I should be breaking down your equipment to fix the bodies.
Leica's bodies are out of control. We need to get everything up and running again. We need to be able to talk to people.
I just do what I'm told. Like, I just do what I'm asked. And right now, I know you're making it very hard for my stuff to work.
Well, I'm asking you
stuff to till.
I'm asking you to work with me. We got to till together here.
Perfect.
This isn't tilling working. Yeah. I mean, wait. This isn't tilling.
Awesome. All right, so I think that's a good scene end point. Yeah, I can definitely feel there's poor Goofy is just caught in the middle of everything.
In the middle.
And there you go. You get to replace that with the H2.
It.
Yeah, so you can get rid of that card. Very nice. And so, yeah, we have one more turn, then we'll go into H2.
I want to...
Goofy, the tragic hero of this entire
Pretty much. I want to go with Sadness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
And I'm going to pair it with Prisoners.
Yeah.
Not just for completion's sake, but also because I think it works.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a particular wariness and strife that marks many days in the isolation. When we need a word to describe how we feel in the hardest times, this is what we reach to. Sadness seeks company.
All right, let's see. And why do you think we have a special word for sadness because of our prisoners aspect?
It's a good question. I would say that, you know, there is a connection between how we felt, how we experienced life as prisoners back on Earth, and we relate to being on this planet in a similar way.
Perfect. Yep. Yeah, I mean, something around cell was the first thing that popped into my mind, right? Like being back in the cell, being back in the holes, something like that. Or even just being locked up, right? I'm feeling real locked up right now, right?
I like that a lot, actually.
Ooh. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I like locked up.
All right.
Because it has a lot of, like, double meanings.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to play on that a good deal.
You're locked up. I'm locked up.
Yeah.
But I'm really sad about it.
Yes. The bodies are making me locked up right now.
All right, perfect. And what's the prompt on the card?
It said Sadness Seeks Company.
Yeah. So who do you think Kensa might seek company with?
That's a good question.
Or you can interpret that fairly broadly as well.
Yeah. No. I actually think that while they don't agree on much these days, that one thing that Kensa and Leica have in common is that all of the shit that they're working on is not working right now. And so they can probably commiserate over that.
Yeah, so
over the repeated failures.
Do we have this like externally antagonistic relationship, but we actually kind of feel like we're some
we kind of get each other. We just know that we also have different perspectives. So it's kind of like it's a mutual respect kind of thing, but we have our goals diverge.
Yeah. No, I love it. So where should we have our conversation? I think it's like I mean, I assume we have our own like living spaces here, right?
Yeah.
It's not like space isn't that big of a deal because the like domes are pretty big,
Right.
So it sounds like we might even have like little apartments, something like that.
And maybe like maybe there's like a centralized like mess hall type thing in the middle of the living quarter area.
Yeah, yeah.
Where we would all run into each other.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. So maybe we're both like just having a meal together, just
Yeah.
chilling out. All right, cool. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Go.
Oh man, like I'm feeling really locked up over this whole body situation. I mean, they're just breaking down all over the place. We're running out of parts. I mean, you know, nothing we got going on is working right now.
You're telling me
Or it's tilling.
my two bodies just had their sensor units stripped out. I don't know who did it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that. I mean, you know, a lot of people are getting desperate to, you know, get anything to till right now. So
I know there's a lot to till, but still it just makes me so locked up to think that stuff like that's happening up here. I mean, we're all supposed to be in this together, right? We're all just trying to survive.
yeah, I mean, I guess the real problem is, you know, the whole colony's on lock. I mean, nobody knows how to deal with this, and we're all just stuck in the till.
We're all just stuck in the till. Ain't that how it is?
Yeah, I don't know. We got to figure out a way to cheer people up. You know, we gotta like somehow unlock the situation, and you know, take people's mind off the till. You know, maybe we can repurpose some of the bodies for something fun. You know, maybe Goofy can help put something together.
Do something fun with them, like
I don't know, like a
lead a parade.
Yeah, or like a special event, or you know, maybe like a game or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think that would really help. You know, unlock some folks here and there. It's a nice idea, Kenza.
Well, yeah, we should run it by Goofy and see if you know, see if he can make something till for us.
Yeah, I need those two though. Those two bodies. But I'm sure we'll find some other ones.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Cool. All right, it's the scene.
Bodies are for tilling.
Bodies are for tilling. Sorry, Goofy. Yeah, just getting pulled in every direction. That's what you get for being the only competent person here. Ain't that how it goes?
Hey, at least I didn't rat on you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if that would really be ratting on Goofy or not at that
true.
point. All right.
It'd be ratting on myself on Goofy.
Exactly. All right, so next, now we've all taken a turn, right? And so that defines age one. So now we kind of know what the kind of status quo of life is for the community, how things are going. And now we're going to transition into age two, where something major is going to happen to the community and some things are going to change about it because of that. So the way this works is I'm going to read a prompt for the transition, and then we're going to pick one of two pathways we want to follow, which way the story is going to unfold. So the overall prompt is an event to foreshadow the end of the isolation. It finds its way into all conversation and is impossible to ignore. So this story is going to tell the entire life cycle of the isolation.
Got it.
The birth of the community to the eventual end of the community. And basically there are two options. Either we can follow the pathway where Earth comes back, right, and ends up assimilating us, or we can follow the path where something goes tragically wrong and the isolation doesn't survive, right? A system malfunctions, but we never hear back from Earth. So I can read both of the transitions. We can pick which one we want to go with for the rest of the game. So one of them is, we find something buried in the red sands far away from the outpost. It's from Earth, but it clearly wasn't meant for us. An advanced supply drop. This can only mean one thing. A second force is on its way. As we look through the supply crate, tensions mount. What do we find and why are we so afraid? Or the second option, a siren. Something's wrong. A major system is on the fritz. Malfunctions are nothing new, but this wasn't supposed to happen. No matter what, we had a plan. In theory, there's a backup, but we never thought we would need it. Who fights for drastic action and why are they met with resistance? Right? So there are two options there. So together, we'll just decide which one we want to go with to tell our story. So who thinks that having Earth comes back would be the appropriate story choice here, and who thinks that internal destruction would be the more appropriate choice?
I kind of like the idea of having Earth come back and exploring like what other nefarious things they might have been doing.
That's because
while
you're destroying us from the
while
inside.
communications were
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be interesting.
Maybe I am. Who knows?
Yeah, and so in that pathway, it said that something is found in the supply crates, which makes us very worried, right? And so we have to define what that would be. What do we think that might be?
I mean, my first thought would be like a working communications array that is clearly not communicating with us. And so, like, what is it connected to? And, like, why are they not, why are they not responding to us or finding a way to connect to us? And, like, are they watching us? Is there something else going on here?
Yeah, when they had the method to be able to communicate with us for a while, but they chose not to do it, is
Right.
what it would sound like. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely an option. Another one that popped into my head was just coffee, right? Like what?
Like
maybe
more coffee?
Yeah, like maybe it was just like there were some supply rations that were there, right? That they were dropping, and it turns out that they have the ability. It could be both these things too, right? Because that really kind of hints at some nefarious thing
Yeah.
going on here, right? And so yeah, maybe that's it. Like both, they seem like they always had the ability to communicate, and it looks like the mission that we were sent up here for, something was wrong with it, right? Like either it became obsolete, they found some other way to be able to actually grow it, but they never told us,
Yeah.
or something along those lines. So
Mine was weapons.
yeah, it could be all three of these things.
So maybe
Yeah,
maybe
could be
it's
like a mega cache.
like since we haven't yet like figured out how to grow or harvest the coffee, like maybe it wasn't coffee.
Like
I
we
did
were
say the
actually-
coffee would be our downfall.
Oh yeah, maybe it
true.
just wasn't. It wasn't coffee at all.
Maybe we were told it's coffee and we didn't really check and just started planning it.
Or like if it's just genetically modified enough,
Yeah.
right? There could be some
Something's
synthetic
weird
thing
about
in
it,
there,
yeah.
right?
It's cocaine coffee.
Oh man.
Could be.
Yeah. So yeah, it could be. So maybe there's weapons. There's just like weapons like field rations and communication
Yeah.
equipment, and it looks like whatever it is, like it's hinting that Earth wasn't on the up and up
Yeah.
with why we were sent.
They
here.
have some sort of alternative plan that we're not included in.
Yes, exactly. Cool.
like
All right.
it.
So that's the transition. And as we go from age 1 to age 2, we're going to move each one of these aspects into the middle. So they're still going to be with us in age 2, except for one. We're going to choose one that changes a little bit as we move from age 1 to age 2.
Okay.
Right? And coffee harvesting seems like an obvious one. Now that we know that they're kind of like something's wrong, right? Although some of us might still be in denial about that fact, and so we might still keep the operation going. But yeah, any of these aspects could change a little bit. So do we have feelings as to which one might change?
I mean, I think coffee is the most obvious. I think prisoner could change, like, maybe it no longer is like defining us. Like maybe we realized that there was something more about why they sent prisoners to Mars to do this, and now we're like unified to fight back. So it's not
Yeah.
as like.
Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
like rioting, or it could be like resistance in some way, right?
Yeah.
That could be a defining thing instead of prisoners too. I kind of like that, like rather than because the coffee I think is very direct, right? And
Right.
it sounds like the coffee's still going to play a part in the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, would changing prisoners be cool with everyone?
Yeah, maybe there's something about us that was specific to why we were chosen.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So yeah, should we make this resistance? And then we can define some additional points as to like why we were chosen as we go along in the
Yeah.
story. All right, nice. I'll say resistance to Earth. Okay, and everything else makes it into the next stage. Now, next thing that we'll do is everyone can discard one of the cards from their hand to draw another H2 card if you'd like.
Oh, I never got an H2 in the first.
Oh yeah, you should have gotten one H2 card. Yep, so you can discard that one.
Oh.
And some of them will say action on them, and I'll explain what that means in a second. I'll keep these.
You just put it here.
Yeah, you can just put it underneath. Oh, it's always sad when the sweet ones get discarded.
Yeah. I had two sweet ones, so I had to choose.
Yeah, we will have no terms of endearment, apparently.
Sorry.
Cool, but some of the cards on them, so most of the cards will be exactly the same as we had in Age 1, but with different types of words at this point. It's more related to like the interfunctionings of the isolation. Some of them will also be actions at this point. Actions will be words that change existing pieces of language on the table rather than strictly defining new one.
Okay.
So for example, this is evolve, and it explains how it changes the the phases of a turn. And this one would essentially like change the meaning of one of the words into to be more relevant to the current phase of the isolation. Cool. So I'll take the first turn since it's my turn. And let me just make sure that I did all the things while transitioning from H1 to H2. Yep, all set. All right, let me pick one. All right, I don't think that I can really help but define something for this.
Okay.
And that's going to be expletive.
Nice.
That's because expletives are just a little too fun.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tie that to the resistance to earth that we're feeling now, right? So I think as part of finding this cache, right? I think access to it has been highly restricted, right? Like, and while we know that it can be used to communicate, probably Kensa, right?
Yeah.
Kensa and very few others actually have access to it, right? As the communications experts. But there's a lot of distrust and a lot of like remembering of Earth that's happening right now that we haven't felt in a long time. And so I think we have an expletive has kind of come out of those feelings, right? Because we're feeling a lot of frustration towards Earth. We feel like we've been betrayed, and we just don't know overall what's going on. So what do we think expletive inspired by our memories of Earth might be? But not an expletive from Earth.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, like, some things that distinguish us from Earth would be around colors, which is always an interesting one.
I was thinking green.
Yeah, green or blue or something like that, yeah. Because I can believe that, like, probably in the biomes, like, we still might have grass, right? We're able to get grass. But we're not going to have a lot of stagnant water or anything, right?
The gravity's different as well.
Oh yeah, sure.
So it's a lot heavier on Earth.
And so maybe we could have something around like they would be sinkers or something, or
Okay.
yeah,
Something
sinkers
like that, yeah.
sinking, like
Heavies.
yeah, heavies. I kind of like sinking because it's like you can use that in a phrase like
Right,
you can't
yeah.
get this sinking ship to work, right?
like- yeah.
The sinking body is
Yeah, I like that.
yeah, I think that's
Sinker, sinking, sink.
yeah, I think that's cute.
Sink this.
Yeah, sink this. Sink you and sink
Sink
the
you
horse you came in on.
And all your tilling bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You don't understand how locked up I am.
Did you just tell me to go sink myself?
No, but that's a good idea.
You're sinking right.
Sink it right. Go sink yourself, you sinking piece of... Perfect.
I like it.
All right. So sink is our new expletive, and The phrase is a moment we'll later regret, or the prompt for the conversation is a moment we'll later regret. So cool. So what's Goofy's deal after we've discovered this new supply cache?
I distrust Kensa. I don't know why Kensa has access to the supply cache.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Right.
Because you're the only.
Yeah.
You could probably.
We
fix
probably
it up.
haven't even told you everything that's in
Yeah,
it
I don't-
yet. You just know it exists.
Yeah. Yeah. I just know that Kensa's, holed up in his till shop,
Working, tilling on something.
tilling on something.
All right. Nice. So I think that
What was the prompt again? A moment.
a moment we'll later regret.
Nice.
And I definitely think that Leica also doesn't have immediate access to it, right?
Right.
Because this is comms, and comms is going to handle this.
Yeah.
But like all the rumors are spreading everywhere.
And comms is maybe acting a little militant right now.
Oh yeah. They have their bodies that are working, and maybe they've
Yeah.
restructured them a little bit to actually.
We
like,
have
be
weapons.
guarding there. Yeah.
We may
do
not-
have weapons. Those might be the only weapons.
They might
right?
be the only weapons.
Yeah, because we're prisoners. They wouldn't have let us go there with a bunch
Yeah.
of weapons, right?
We probably aren't parading around with them, but somebody might have seen one once if somebody tried to get too close to the cache and we had to scare them off or something.
Yeah.
It's being very protective.
Perfect. Yeah, we all know that you have weapons, and no one's used them yet, but
Yeah.
we know that we're not
They
gonna
exist.
mess around.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. So let's hash a plan. Does
Okay.
that sound good, Goofy?
Yes.
A
Yes.
plan that you'll later regret.
Yeah. Goofy, what are we? Kensa with that cache. Can you believe what they're doing now?
No, I can't. I have no idea what they're doing. And I don't know why they're hiding it from the rest of us. It has me very locked up that they know something that we don't.
Well, you know what? I'm pretty sure they're talking to Earth in there. Right?
I mean, there's no reason for that much security on Kensa's till shop. I mean, they've got people all around there 24 hours. The only thing that can get in are bodies.
Yeah, and only their bodies that have this specific, that pass their authorization check, right?
Yeah.
I just can't think and believe it anymore. I didn't think Kensa would do something like this.
I never liked that guy, girl.
Person.
I never liked that person. If you want, I can take some of your refractor thingamajigs off your bodies and maybe put it on some of the comms bodies, and we can get a better look at what's going on inside.
Oh, so you'd stream from the comms body?
Yeah. That way every one of us in the colony would know what they're doing. Bring those sinking whatever
Bodies.
those sinking bodies who are up to no good. They're probably hoarding everything in that cache just for themselves while we're out here doing the real till.
I think you're right. Yeah. You do that, and then I'll set up some of the bodies to actually broadcast.
Yeah.
Right. We'll be able to. Everyone will know what they're doing with the cache. What's going on there. Perfect. All right. This sounds like a bad idea.
Very bad idea.
Very bad idea. Yep.
All right. That's great.
It's fantastic.
All right. Goofy Coopster.
Wow, I don't. This is tough. I'm really not sure how to work in any of these. Mm-hmm. Mainly because I don't even know how. I have Evolve as well, but I'm not sure
How to use it.
how to use it. I mean, just given the context of what we've.
Well, certainly, the bodies sound like they're changing in purpose a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. So that was one of the things that I was thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah. I
So
had
what
a
is
similar thing
what
in
is an
mind.
aspect from the so?
Oh, these are the current aspects. So, if you play on Resistance to Earth, you could change bodies to be more tied to that. For example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe we're just not like the most of us just have stopped like
Hey,
harvesting
Kit.
coffee. Hello. It's possible that like some of us have stopped harvesting coffee altogether because of the cache, and in that case, the till might also change in meaning, right? Or we might just have a really bad omen about something.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, maybe bad omen would work.
Okay.
Which aspect would you want to tie that to?
Let's see. A symbol for dread. We've always had worries
That's awesome, Kit.
about the future, but this one really anchors reality. Oh, nice hat. But this thing anchors it to reality when we say this word. We feel how fragile the isolation is. A bad omen only some acknowledge. So, I'm thinking I would want to play this on the coffee harvesting.
I like it.
Yeah, what would the bad omen regarding hot coffee harvesting be? Certainly we haven't had a lot of successful crops, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of it as like the fact that we haven't had it like is the bad omen. Like the fact that we've been unsuccessful at growing the coffee is the bad omen. So maybe it's like some sort of failure to grow or failure to cultivate.
Yeah, what are good words around failing to cultivate?
Shrivel.
Yeah. Shriveling.
Yeah, I thought of blight, but blight might be too intense.
It's not bad, actually.
Yeah, I like blight.
Because then it'd be like, this is a blight on us. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, it's a good word for bad omen.
Yeah, this whole plan is blighted,
Ooh.
right? Stuff
I like it a
that.
lot.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Blight.
We'll do it.
Blight.
Bad omen. All right, and what was the prompt on that one?
A bad omen only some acknowledge.
Yeah, so what might be a bad omen related to what's going on right now?
So I'm gonna say like Kensa was really focused on fixing the comms equipment, and so we could get to coffee harvesting. Did you want coffee harvesting? I can't remember.
No,
You thought it would be
I
our
think
doom.
coffee's going to be our ruin. So that's like, I've been the one who's against coffee harvesting because I think it's going to get us killed.
Okay. I feel so. What I was trying to go with like is something has like changed, and
So
like you don't acknowledge, like you're not. I don't know what would have changed necessarily. So I'm thinking like you're borrowing bodies
right.
to do something else. Oh yeah. Oh, you're borrowing the bodies that were doing the terraforming for like sustenance, and you're using them for your stuff. Like the stuff that I don't know what you're doing.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Your mysterious stuff.
And so now it's like, not only is the coffee harvest blighting, but so are like sustenance crops.
Oh, sure.
I have no idea what you're doing in your till shop
Does
with
that make
all my
sense?
bodies.
Does that sound
Yeah,
consistent?
yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. Why did you pull off all of the bodies to your till shop? Now we don't have coffee, or now we've blighted our coffee production and blighted our food production.
Look, you're sounding a little locked up here. Like,
Don't you sink and tell me when I'm locked up.
So take a moment.
sink and calm down. It's not the blight you think it is. Look, The till was blighted from the beginning. I don't know how to tell you this, but they've been syncing watching us
What?
this whole time. The cameras and the bodies, even when we couldn't talk to them, they were watching. They know everything that we have been tilling this entire time, and they haven't been talking back, even though they had the sync-in opportunity to whenever they wanted.
Well, why didn't you tell anyone else? We're all locked up out here. You guys are tilling away in your till.
Look, I'm trying not to let them sink and know that we know. I'm trying to figure out what their end game is. What are they tilling towards right now?
So you're saying all of the cameras and all of the bodies are being sent somewhere else already?
They were, but I've been looping the feeds on the bodies to make it look like we're still tilling as normal. I'm trying to buy us some time, but I couldn't let everyone know what was going on until we had all of the bodies fixed up. And you and Leica have been out there with a couple of bodies that you wouldn't let us touch, and they're still recording. So we've just been sitting here blighted while you guys have been syncing out there, letting them know everything that you guys are talking about.
Why didn't you tell us?
Because I couldn't. You guys haven't let those bodies out of your sight. You've just had. Look, you guys just keep tilling and tilling and tilling, and I can't sink and get you guys alone away from those bodies.
Yeah, it's because we think you're communicating with Earth. And we want to know why you're not letting us in on the comms. Are you trying to get rescued out of here while you're going to leave the rest of us to blight?
No, the whole thing is blighted. Look, I'm as locked up about it as you are, but we're not sinking getting out of here. Like, they've got something else planned, and we need to till to make sure that they don't find out that we know about the bodies.
All right, I need to go tell Leica something.
Away from the bodies.
Away from the bodies.
Sounds good. I think that's a good place to end it. All right, it's very nice.
What are you doing?
We're being live streamed on Earth.
Oh man, so many levels.
It's a stream within a stream within a stream. Okay.
We have this mini gong.
Oh yeah.
If you want to use it while the scene ends.
Oh man,
be like-
what?
Oh, we should have been
That's
doing that.
amazing.
Yeah. Just like that's how we end the scene is.
Yeah.
Going, I like it.
Can I just have a test
Yeah,
one so I'm
yeah.
not surprised?
That's so good. Okay.
Now I always need a gong on me while I'm running games.
I'm gonna go with new ritual as it relates to the coffee harvesting. So with the passage of time, our routines change. A new daily ritual has become common in the isolation. Define the new ritual and name it.
Yeah. So what do you think the new ritual around the coffee harvesting is?
Well-
Like what do we actually do?
One thing that I had in mind is that because for the various reasons we aren't trying to grow the coffee anymore, that maybe the coffee beans that we have stashed have become sort of a form of currency
Yeah, totally. Because
within
now
the
they're
colony.
finite. Yeah.
Right. So there is a limited amount of them, and they are an easy piece of thing that we can pass around to barter with the limited supplies that we have.
And we know that if Earth is like reestablishing communications too, they actually have some intrinsic value, right?
Right.
It's like when Earth like establishes.
Yeah,
its
because
own-
there is no coffee back on Earth. So they are very valuable in and of themselves in what Earth has interest in them for.
Yeah. That sounds perfect. All right. So is the new ritual then around the hoarding of the coffee or the exchanging of the coffee or?
Probably the exchanging, the barter process.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let's see. So this is essentially a slang for like trading or engaging
Yeah.
in like monetary transactions with
Right.
coffee beans. Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the puns I can think of in coffee.
I mean, brewing.
Yeah, brewing.
Roasting.
Roasting's a good one.
I mean,
Pouring over.
yeah.
Pulling, actually, a guy just used
Pulling?
that phrase
Yeah.
Earlier today.
Feel free to throw out ideas, chat.
Yeah.
It's a new ritual, a word that has to do with the bartering of coffee beans for goods.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. This could be tamping is another thing you do with coffee.
Yeah.
None of these are like
Yeah.
reciprocal though. That's
what I'm trying to
Yeah,
think
how
of.
do-
Well, I was thinking like if you think about it as like pulling a shot, like the shot could be the unit of.
Oh, so
Coffee.
I like that a
things
lot,
are
actually,
shots,
yeah.
And then we're
Yeah.
like pulling if we're exchanging.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
All
Pulling.
right. Pulling
Yeah.
a shot.
Yeah, because then you can like do things.
I
like,
pulled 3 shots.
I pulled a double shot.
Pulling a shot. All right. And what's the prompt?
The prompt is the new rhythm of our days.
All right. So who do you think would have a conversation around that?
Do I have to be one of the two people?
No.
Okay. Because I was actually thinking the two of you would probably have a conversation about this because you're both kind of equally in the dark about some things, but you probably have reasons to consider both of your resources and do some bartering.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so this is just about bartering, right?
It's the prompt is the new rhythm of our days, and the new ritual is that you all are using coffee beans to barter with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we know that we have. I'm the guy with the fedora. Coffee will kill you. So now we have coffee.
We have coffee beans. We had like basically the beans that we were going to try and grow. We are like, because we're not doing any growing because all those bodies got repurposed, we are using them to barter because they have value.
Okay.
Yeah, and so let's see, what could we be talking about then? Do you think you've already given Leica the information that like Kenza shared with you?
Well, no, I think I'm coming back and saying, hey, so I ran into Kenza, and Kenza is saying that, that all of the bodies have cameras that are sending back to Earth. I don't know how he can prove that, or how many shots he had to pull to get his hands on that cash. But I still don't trust him.
Hi, narco-busted penguin.
But if he's telling the truth, then our plan might mess everything up.
Uh-huh. Perfect. Yeah, let's do it. Goofy, I wasn't expecting to see you so soon. Did you do it? Did you hook up the refractor into the body?
Well, I ran into Kenza
Sinkin Kensa.
right before that, and he's telling me that all of the bodies have all the cameras in the bodies right now are transmitting back to Earth, and he's been actually taking the cameras off the bodies. And
Did Kansas set them up to stream to Earth, or
no, he claims that Earth has been watching all along, and that this entire tale was blighted. But again, he's locked up. I asked him why he wouldn't share this information with everyone. It seems really important, but he just insisted that we didn't know who was watching. I wonder if someone's pulling the shots on Kensa, and there's something in that cache that's even worse than what we imagined.
Maybe Kensa's pulling a shot with Earth.
Yeah, he might be. I've never liked that person.
I mean, if they've all been talking to Earth this whole time and Kensa was just in the dark about it?
I just don't understand why Kensa wouldn't tell us about it if it's true. Kensa's claiming that the bodies that we have, you know, we're not letting them out of our sight, and so he doesn't feel safe sharing until we take down the cameras. But who's to say that once he takes it down, he's not going to come out and take over all of what we've been toiling so hard for?
Kensa's trying to sink us. Can't you see it, Goofy? We're gonna let Kensa have the bodies, and then Kensa's gonna remake them, and
I mean, he's right.
And
This
take 'em
has
all.
been blighted all along, but not because of Earth, not because of sinking Earth, but because of Kensa and his shot pulling. What a shot puller!
What a shot puller. Do anything for a shot. All right.
That's fantastic. I love the gong. Where has it been all our lives?
All right, that's perfect. Cool. So that was the end of age 2, and now we'll go into age 3, and that'll be the final age.
May I have a card?
Was it? Yes. Here's your 1 card, and I'll read the next transition. Oh, and so how this is going to work. We're going to go into age 3. We're going to go around once, and then we're going to have a brief phase where we do legacies, which are little epilogues.
Okay.
So don't feel like you have to wrap up everything in age 3.
Got it.
Right? You'll have a chance to wrap things up later. But cool. So entering age 3. What was foreshadowed has come to pass. The end of the isolation is near. There is no escaping it. Colony ships have entered orbit. They've continued with their advanced supply drops, and some include tools for communication. Anyone amongst us could have scrolled away a rogue comlink connecting them back to Earth after our long silence. This leaves many unsettled. With just the first wave, they would outnumber us massively, and who knows how many are still on their way. How do we each prepare for their arrival? Okay, so Earth is now orbiting Mars, and looks like they're going to be coming back at any moment now, and any of us could be talking to them because the caches have continued, right? And next we're going to decide which one of these we're going to modify as we move into age 3. So which one do you think would make most sense to change a little bit? Could be coffee harvesting, the resistance to Earth, or terraforming the surface.
I mean, this one's kind of already changed.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's like the black market now. It's kind of like what has happened there, right?
Yeah, but there could be more to it than that.
Yeah.
We still don't know if there was anything weird about the coffee.
I think there's
that we
gotta
had,
be.
right?
Like,
So like maybe there's something that changed in this aspect that has to do with what's weird about the coffee.
Like maybe, let's see. Maybe like since we're actually like bartering with them, this might be one of the first times that we're actually we're actually handling them all the time.
Right.
Like everyone's handling them.
Because we probably just like loaded them into a body and then the body planted them into the ground and like we never really got close to them.
Yeah, then now we're all like covered in these things, right? We're handling them every day. And maybe that has had
People are getting sick.
Exactly. Like there's some like we've now discovered that the coffee was like different in some way.
Maybe they were fake.
Fake? Yeah.
Like maybe it's something that was made to look like a coffee bean, and as we're handling it, the like fake coating is wearing off, and it happens to be toxic.
Yeah.
And it's like either rocks or something else. Maybe there's some other valuable thing inside that they just wanted to have with us, and they made it look like coffee beans to distract us, so we didn't know the real value.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking that they were trying to get us to grow something completely different. And then once we got to the point that we were actually growing it, they were going to come and
Right.
Yeah,
take it over. Or not take it over, but like take us out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we were all sent here. So let's see what could let's give it a little bit more form so we can move in. Do we think that's actually something that's like biotoxic? Something that was a weapon that we
I feel like it's a
helping
weapon.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
be.
Does that or like something valuable in some way? Seems to be like what was coming from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder why we would.
Or maybe it's like toxic coffee. maybe like they got a strain, and they knew that they could like secretly they could like take over Earth because they knew this was like a prized possession of like the elite.
Oh, sure, because coffee legitimately was scarce in Earth,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like, and so if they could just secretly grow, like if the government that sent us there, maybe the U.S. government or if they could secretly grow this toxic brand of coffee, right, it would be a really potent weapon given the shortage on Earth.
Yeah.
Sure.
Does that sound reasonable? Or?
Yeah. So it's like,
Weaponized coffee.
so like toxic coffee.
Yeah, toxic coffee.
And the toxins are like wearing through through the skin as we're handling them. So we're getting sick. I like
Yeah,
it.
that's how we're discovering that this is actually the case. Cool, so now we can all discard one card and draw another H3 card if we'd like. Yeah, we should be able to get through a full game.
Does it matter that these words are on the outer ring, or can I move them in?
They were defined back then, so
Okay.
we usually keep them out
Okay,
there, but
cool.
if you need it for...
No, I don't
the
really
shot.
need it. I just wanted to ask because I can do this.
Yeah, you can like move them onto the string or something if it makes your life a little easier.
That's all. Yeah, we'll do this. Get rid of a card.
Alright, there you go.
Can't do the thing. Okay.
Alright, so I'll go first. I just need to see what I have. Alright, I want to use this one. I'm not 100% sure how yet, but seems like a really fun card. A new source. Out of the blue, we hear a word, our word, said by someone we did not expect. So now that there are more comm systems, right, and like more and more people have access to it, I think that like Leica has one and has started to try to communicate back with Earth. Oh, and some of the prompts now you'll see may have outsiders. So that means that we can actually include characters who aren't the three of us. And
Got
then
it.
someone at the table will use that, be that character.
Awesome.
But in this case, we're going to hear one of our words used by someone we didn't expect. So someone at Earth is actually going to, because they've been watching us, they kind of know all the words we use, right?
I like it.
And I certainly using bodies would make sense, right? Using blights might also make sense. Sync would be interesting too. I think I'll let whoever ends up playing the outsider decide what the word is that they're going to use during the conversation, right? And the prompt is a strange gift. That's going to be what the prompt is for it. So who would like to be the outsider who Leica kind of establishes communications with again?
Go for
Would
it.
you like to do it?
I pointed to you and you're like, go for it. Fine. I'll do it.
All right. Let's see, 7 to the left, 3 to the right. I saw Kenza do this once. 1, 2, 3. Come in. Anyone?
Hello?
Some.
Who's there? This is a secure channel.
Whoa. Just hold on a second. Leica Timmons.
Like it.
Where are you from? Are you from Biome 3?
Uh,
Are you in one of the ships?
Yes, I'm in Biome 3. I've been wait, what is the thing?
Do you want the
Which one?
prompt?
A new
Oh, a
source.
strange gift is the prompt.
Sorry. So a new source meant one of the words.
Oh yeah, so you're going to use one of the words in a way that we didn't expect. So like, because you're not from the community,
You might misuse a word that you've heard.
Yeah. I'm the one who I've been locked up in Biome 3 this entire time.
I thought everything was going really well in Biome 3.
I mean it is, yeah, but everything is great here. We're all good. How are you?
Wait, no, the frequency for Biome 3 is 107.852. This is way off of Biome 3.
I've been
You're locked up in there? What?
yeah,
Why
I
would
mean
you
since all the cash has started raining in, I've been too afraid to go out, so I'm locked up in biome 3.
You're locked. You're sinking. There's no.
Are you?
Wait, come back. No, there's no way. God, that sinking bastard. All right, cool.
There we go.
Very nice.
That was good.
All locked up in biome 3.
I'm going through a space tunnel.
Yeah. I love the "how are you" too. Biome 3 sounds like prison.
I'm going through a black hole.
All right.
Classic. That was good.
All right, Sam, your turn.
All right.
Misunderstanding.
So I'm going to use misunderstanding. I think I want to use it on the till.
Mm-hmm. And what's the text on it?
Okay, so as tensions rise, voices clash even amongst ourselves, we ascribe new meanings to old words, and confusion spreads. So make a connection, pick a previously defined word, explain why a change in the community has caused some people to ascribe a different meaning to it, skip build word phase, write both meanings on the language item.
Mm. Yeah, what else did the till mean?
So I think the other meaning is that like people who are getting sick or dying.
Oh shit!
I like that. I like that a lot.
Because of the back to dust.
Aspect
of it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because of the toxic.
And it ties in nicely because it's the same aspect tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brutal. All right, who's gonna be either
What's the
tilling or tilling?
It's okay. What we know to be true may have outsiders, and so I feel like Kensa's talking to some outsiders, because originally Kensa was the only one with the communications cache. Then recently everything's been falling in, so whoever he's been talking to before, he's trying to get answers.
I like it.
Yeah, and so we still do want to explore the till as a word,
Yes.
though, too, right? So we'll have to see how that
I'll
works
definitely
out there.
bring that in.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, and have you been in contact with the outsiders for a while, or?
I would say that Kensa has gotten in contact with them via a localized relay once the ship's got into orbit, not using the communications array that they found, but using the more short-range equipment that we had for speaking to the biomes, because Kensa doesn't want them to know that we have the array and that we know about the cameras or anything like that. So basically, when the ship showed up, Kensa established communications as the communication expert and has been trying to act like nothing is wrong.
Yeah, they don't
regarding
know
the
about
cache,
yeah.
but also trying to get help for the colony because people are tilling and so on.
That's perfect. And what's the prompt on that one?
The prompt is we know what we know to be true.
We know to be true. Okay. And this isn't our first communication, though, right? All right. All right. Ship Z3 calling in. Ship Z3 calling in. Come in, Kensa.
This is Biome 2.
Biome 2. Good to hear from you, Biome 2. So, status update. How are things going down there?
Look, it's sinking blighted down here. We got.
Come on. Just say it like a normal goddamn person.
Look, you gotta tell me what you did to the coffee. Something is wrong with the beans. We got people tilling down here.
Yeah, well, that's what you were supposed to do down there, right? Till? You're just all sent down there, just till all day long. That was the whole goddamn point.
I got people tilling left and right. They're dropping like flies. What is...
Yeah, till left and right? That's what you're supposed to do. 8 hours a day. That was the plan.
Look, you got to stop shot pulling with me here. Like, just give it to me straight. What did you do to the coffee? We're locked up down here. We don't know what to do.
Look, the coffee, from your perspective, it was all just always supposed to be coffee, right? You just plant it, you bring it out, you roast it, you send it back. It's supposed to be easy peasy.
Yeah, well,
I don't know why you all started handling it like you did.
look, when things went blighted, we had to sink and do something.
Again with the sinking. Jesus. Look, there's a reason why we gave you the bots, right?
Look, you sinkers don't get it.
Yeah, I guess we don't.
We till until we till, and that's what you expect from us. And this whole thing has just been blighted the whole time. The bodies were your instruments on the ground.
You till until you till. Look, just... Biome 2, call me back when you get a dictionary or something. I can handle this right now.
Sink you.
All right, perfect.
That was great.
That's really good. You're sent there to till, goddammit.
We till until we till.
plan, yeah.
We till left, right.
That's the point.
That was good.
Great. All right, so last, this is going to be our last scene.
So, fracture is an action. A group defines itself by not using one of our words. So make a connection, pick a previously defined word, explain why a group has stopped using this word, and then skip the build a word phase. In the conversation, explore the fracture.
Yeah, what word do you think some people stopped using?
I was thinking bodies.
Yeah, well, bodies are...
Yeah, makes sense.
They messed us up.
Right. Like, we now think of the bodies differently. They're no longer our tools, right? They are part of Big Brother, essentially. And so they have a different meaning to us now. And so we probably stopped using that word because we're trying to, like, recognize that they are not part of us anymore.
That's perfect. And do some people still use it and some people don't? Or?
Probably the fracture is around people who believe Kensa and those who don't, which kind of goes back to the Oracle thing, where it's like most people believe Kensa, but there are some who don't believe Kensa about what's going on. And so there are probably the people who don't believe Kensa probably just see the bodies as tools that Kensa has stolen and repurposed for their own needs.
Yeah, totally.
And so those people probably still use the word, but Kensa and the people who are on that side of things are probably not using it.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
That makes a ton of sense. All right, cool. So what's the prompt on it?
It's rifts made permanent.
All right.
And I'm actually open to you all volunteering which of your characters you think would land on the other side of the rift with Kensa.
I think Leica definitely would, because...
Goofy always stuck in the middle.
Yeah, what's
Always
Goofy
stuck in
gonna-
the middle.
That's
Yeah,
the real the grand like question of humanity. I think is resolved through Goofy here. Right?
Goofy's actually the main character of the story.
Yeah, it's definitely
He's
true.
bouncing back and
Goofy.
forth.
I think it's
So
true.
where is Goofy? We have a rift forming between the Leica and Kensa, who had respect for each other, but they are growing further and further apart as things get more and more serious. Where does Goofy stand in that?
Oh. Why do I have to till on this
Don't
one?
make me
Don't
choose.
make me till. Don't make
Would it be reasonable to explore a scene where all three of us are there?
Yeah, totally.
And possibly get to the resolution of how Goofy feels on this, where we are all there and the rift is more or less there for us and we're trying to figure out what's going on?
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. So maybe there's like, would there be like a, could there be like a public event or something, like where we're actually discussing what's
Maybe
going
it's
on?
like a biome community meeting,
Right.
where it's like we finally took the maybe we did or didn't take the cameras out of the box. Depends on what Leica decided to do with Goofy's information. Maybe Leica's bodies still have the cameras because you didn't believe.
Yeah, maybe there's just like 2 of them
right?
or something.
And so maybe we're having a meeting over what to do about this fact that we can't all agree on what's going on.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. So I can get started. I think. Look, the bodies had an important purpose. They're here to make us survive, and Kensa's just been taking them and doing God knows what with them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've spent 5 years upkeeping all these bodies, and now Kensa's just ruining it, blighting everything.
Yeah. Look, the Husk's only purpose was to keep the Sinkers informed. That's it. It was never about the till. They were just blighting us from the beginning.
I think you're the sinker here.
Yeah, the bodies kept us alive.
Hey, if you want to talk about who is a sinker here, let's talk about which one of us actually worked for the corporation to begin with, huh?
Whoa. Okay. Look,
I've been looking through the records, and Leica's the real sinker here.
but I'm not going to apologize for my life back on Earth.
But people have been tilling here.
Yeah, I've been tilling here just as hard as anyone else.
Yeah, and here we've got a bunch of people tilling, and you look fine.
Oh, sink you, I'm looking fine. You know how hard I've been working trying to get these bodies all fixed up?
Oh
Me and
yeah, because
Goofy
the
have been trying
Husks
to
are
do
doing
whatever-
us a real lot of good right now.
The husks. Yeah, the bodies are the only reason why we have these biomes to begin with, right?
Maybe.
Without the heights, we'd all be blighted years ago. We've all been locked up forever. They kept us alive. And you're going and you're tearing them apart, and half of them
Yeah.
aren't even working anymore.
Or maybe we would have been fine all along because you pulled a shot from the very beginning.
I pulled a shot from the beginning.
I don't even know what to think. I mean, on one hand, the bodies have kept us alive, but now people are tilling into an early grave. And did you have anything to do with this?
Did I have anything to do with it? No, I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm just trying
You're
to
the
keep
one who's
moisture levels
who wanted to
constant.
wanted to till the coffee so bad. I mean, you must have known, right?
Look, I finally got communications up with the ships when they came in, and they still won't tell me what's up with the coffee. They don't even care that we're tilling down here. They just want us to keep tilling the husks and just sinking, being blighted all over the place. Like they don't even care how locked up we are.
Look, I know it's... Look, we just have to stay alive. We just have to keep using the bodies as we were meant to use them, just so we can keep these things running for a little bit longer.
Look, if you're not going to turn over the husks, I don't know how we can trust you.
You want my bodies? You want my last 2 bodies? I need them.
Well, we need to make sure that the husks are clean, or we're all sinking blighted out here.
Look, fine, take whatever system you gotta take out of them. I don't know.
Look, I'll pull a shot with you. I'll make it work. But,
As long as people stop tilling, that's all I care about.
yeah. We gotta till together for once, or we're all gonna sink and till.
Yep, we'll till together on this one. We're not gonna sink and till. Okay.
God, this is so blighted.
Not my body.
Not my body!
So much tilling. All right. Cool. So that was the end of Age 3. As we go into the Legacy now, the transition is... That wave was just the beginning. They flooded our home. Wave after wave, thousands upon thousands. They've seized the outpost for their own purposes, and some newcomers don't even know there was ever a first expedition. As our home is transformed into something we no longer recognize, how do we leave our mark? So, how this last phase works is we each get a legacy card that has 3 prompts on it. These are going to be little narrated epilogues, so they're not going to be scenes, but they're going to be ways in which you either wrap up your story or wrap up the story of the isolation as a whole. We don't have to do these in order. Whoever feels like theirs narratively makes sense to do next can go. And then we just give a little short little passage about like what either happens to you or the isolation as a whole. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So the Earth has come back. They've flooded everything, right? Whatever we were doing with the coffee, it sounds like they've confiscated it, right? Our growing centers, like they're probably taking control of now that we've got it working. But even more of them have begun to settle and colonize, right?
Yeah. Some of us assimilated. Some of us may even be prisoners within the prison.
Yeah.
For not assimilating.
Yeah. Would that be what happens to
rogues?
Kensa, or
I would say that Kensa is probably a rogue at this point, trying to live outside the biomes, maybe with a modified husk, and the communications array that we found in the cache, which we told the we didn't tell them any. We made them believe that it it disappeared in it got lost when it was supposed to land and they never found it.
Perfect. I think Leica definitely, especially because she worked for the company, had some role in the engineering of the toxic coffee to begin with.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. Thanks, Wonder Wizard.
We'll figure out everything there.
And what's up with Goofy right now before we do these full epilogues?
Yeah, what side is Goofy? Is Goofy going rogue, or?
Oh, can I just give my epilogue? Because it covers.
Sure.
It covers.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pick out of the ash a seedling sprouts. So I was very torn because I saw people tilling, but I didn't trust Kensa, and so I took some of the scraps of the bodies that I had and built something to essentially like go through the coffee, to like essentially like polish and do whatever, right? Like you said that like as they, so
it's like a coating.
Yeah. So I tried to strip the coating to see if I could prove like that was still real coffee or something like that. And then in doing so, like I underestimated how much toxicity there was, and so I died. But like one of the machines like broke down and like essentially like the workshop blew up because the machine had processed an actual coffee bean. So there was an actual real coffee bean amongst all the toxic coffee. So that's the seedling sprouts in a very literal term.
Wait,
Nice.
so wait, why did that cause the thing to explode? Because there's an actual coffee bean?
Well, because it was built to like handle the density of the coffee beans that were there, but the real coffee beans are more like structured differently.
Yeah, that caused a malfunction, and that's what destroyed that biome in that way.
I was actually thinking that the coffee beans in the cache that we found were not toxic.
Yeah.
Right? They had been sent for the new colony to grow real coffee. And so some of them probably got mixed in with the ones that you were trying to strip, and that's how you died.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
perfect.
that makes sense.
All right, so now we both get to do one.
Go ahead.
Let me think. I think that I'm going to do the saying goodbye to what was once normal, and this is going to be inverted a little bit.
Okay.
But Leica, after the colonization happens, I think she's back at the same kind of weather engineering station, and some of the new kind of like crew from Earth come in, and they're having a meeting. They've had a lot of these meetings in the past, and as the colony becomes more and more successful and they're able to grow like more of the toxic coffee and more of the regular coffee, I think that someone casually just brings a cup of coffee one day, right? Like an actual hot cup of coffee that we can just enjoy. And she has it on the table, and she just looks into it for a very long time. before mentally making that switch that like, no, okay, coffee is safe to drink. And she grabs it and she takes a sip. And that is saying goodbye to what was once normal.
Nice.
So our last epilogue.
Yeah. So mine is sharing a memory of the old ways.
Yeah.
So Kensa has been roaming the unterraformed wasteland as a exile who quite possibly is presumed dead at this point, and because no one could survive out there.
Absolutely not.
And Kensa turns on a monitor inside the modified husk and watches through the cameras of the bodies that were saved, the ones from other biomes, and the two that Leica had turned over, but we didn't have time to remove the cameras from before Earth landed. And Kensa watches people out tilling and terraforming with the bodies, and kind of reminisces on the simpler time when that was all we had to do, when we didn't know what we knew now, when we didn't know, the way that they had things planned for us. And that's where it fades to black. It's just watching.
All right, the Grand Gone, and that's the end of our game.
Yeah.
So that was the story of the Outpost, and some really bad coffee.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for playing.
Kensa the Watcher.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really fun. So this is Dialect. This has been kind of our passion project for like the last X years. And Catherine is the linguist in the pair, so she brings a lot of the linguist love into the project.
I want to show you all the everything we ended up with on the cards.
Oh yeah,
while we're
the
talking
whole
here.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we put them out while we're playing in this way, so we kind of have like a visual thing to prompt us during our scenes. If any of you folks end up playing for yourselves on the website thornygames.com, we also have a lot of the play aids and stuff like that you can print out that'll have you references for exactly what happens in a turn,
Nice.
as well as the different backdrops. And so there are 4 core backdrops that we wrote, and then we have contributing authors, like 10 different authors wrote little backdrops about like stories that they were interested in that you can also play in.
That's super cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite ones is the wolf pack, where you all get to be wolves, and there's a little
Nice.
paragraph on like nonverbal wolf communication on it, so you can do stuff like with your ears and your tails. and
That's
your-
so good.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's really cute. Some people get really, incorporate like sometimes musical notes and stuff like that into their language and weird little things too. So that's it. And thank you all so much for inviting me and
Yeah,
with
thanks
me.
for being here. For anyone who does want to check out Dialect, you can get it on their website,
Yes, thornygames.com.
and you can also find it in the image below the stream, where you see the image of the game, and just click on that. That'll take you directly to the site where you can buy a copy of Dialect.
It's going to be really hard to get sad violin music out of my head for the next week.
Oh yeah, that ended up being like a really good ambiance.
I wonder if we had set it to happy music, whether
we would've gone
we would have gone happier.
Goofy would have been literal Disney Goofy.
Yeah.
It would have just morphed and gorsh.
I am sure sad that everyone's dying. All right, perfect.
Cool.
Great. And so, did you have some bookkeeping at the end?
Yeah, so I think we can probably skip the rating system stuff because that's really tailored for board games. But I do think we want to just do sort of some post-game thoughts and talk about what we thought about the game. I'm going to let Sam go first.
I thought it was really
Talk
cool.
about
I think I really enjoyed playing it. because I generally like these types of games. I think like when there's no structure, it's really hard for me to just pull things out of thin air.
It's just like, now go.
Yeah, and in situations where there's no structure, I just want time to prepare, and like that's not a pick up and play sort of thing. So I really like that. I think it definitely does feel pretty intense. So the things that I thought about while playing the game were like, one, like really how are all of these these scenarios set. So like if essentially we didn't have a seasoned person leading it, would we get the same enjoyment or outcome? Like, and Jordan and I have like different like bases of people we play games with a lot. So I feel like for my group of friends, I don't know if they would have a really hard time doing this because it is more creative. It is, but the word part just felt so daunting at the beginning, and like over time after we like conversed and that that became super interesting and super fun. So I really liked it. I'd be curious to see how like other cards work and different groups of people how it would work. But yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, totally get it. And we try with the word building phase because it's a communal thing. Like we try to make it so that there isn't too much pressure on one person. 3 is the lowest number of people. So the more people you have, a little bit more distributed it ends up being as well.
Cool. Yeah, and you get more words, right? Because it's every stage is a round.
Yeah, and I forgot how short it can be with 3 players, right? So
yeah, it worked out really good.
Through a whole
is it
game.
Always 3 aspects, or is it one aspect? Okay.
Yeah, always 3 aspects.
So the thing that I really wanted to talk about is when you have a storytelling game like this, which is not an RPG system, right? It is I would classify this as a storytelling game rather than a RPG.
There's no stats, there's no stuff like that.
When you have something like that, I feel like the balance in what makes a good game is, do you have the right level of structure in the game to prompt people to drive it forward, so that as Sam was saying, so that they don't feel like they're just drawing things out of thin air without anything to work off of. And for me, I think that this game is a really good example of that, because you have the idea of the backdrop immediately gives you something to start with. You have a setting, you have a basic story, and then you get to customize it with the aspects, which are very freeform. But then once you do that, then you have the cards driving a lot of the evolution of the language. So it's like you're using your character, and you're saying, okay, I need to take like work, right? And I need to figure out how work fits in with these aspects. And so there's a very strong direction of how you take the story. You're not just sitting there and telling a story. You're letting the cards say, okay, we're going to make a word for work, and then we're going to talk about work using the prompt. And so that to me provides a lot of structure to the experience without being overbearing, right?
Totally.
And that I think is what marks a really good storytelling game, is like where is the level of support that the game provides that you can build on top of creatively.
I think it also comes through like the forced engagement of having the conversations, whether it's like amongst the group or elsewhere. Because I think like, again, storytelling can have the same problem as certain co-op games where like some people really care about it and they get really into it, and then other people are just going through motions. And so like we were playing a game, Untold.
I'm not familiar with it.
So it's a super interesting game, but it's like you aren't forced to interact with others. Right? You're forced to make decisions about the story that affect other people, but there's no like dialogue. Right? And so for people who are like either not super feeling it or not like super into the story or felt like it should go somewhere else, it's really hard to get them to engage. Whereas this one, like, you kind of have to force the engagement, and then, like maybe by the end people will feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And we try to make it so that the engagements are still about the community by making those, like when you define the character, it's all through the aspects, right? And
Yeah.
so people are going to have conflicting views about the community at the beginning, hopefully. Another thing to bring up around the structure as a whole is that's why the pathways are kind of the way they are too, right?
Yeah.
Like we want you to be able to not worry so much about like, okay, am I telling the full arc of a story? Instead, you can just like play in the language and play in the ambiance.
Yeah.
And like the game itself will take care of like, okay, you're telling a narratively cohesive thing.
Yeah.
So that's like different ways that we try to address that too.
Yeah, I feel like it really, what it does is it allows you to live within the setting and the story. You have a character, your character has things that are important to them as how they're tied to the aspects and who they are, and you have a language to communicate with, and you have a prompt, and then you just go in and you live all of that context.
Yeah, you don't have to do the meta stuff
Right.
of like, is the story going in the right way?
Exactly.
Yep, totally. No, those are all things that we very consciously tried to deal with in some ways. Yeah, cool. Well,
Cool.
I'm glad you all had fun, and I know I had a lot of fun playing with you folks.
Yeah, we're really
It was a
glad
real
to have you
pleasure.
here with us.
Collector's edition with gong.
I know.
Yeah,
wait, can
maybe.
can this be the last thing we do on the stream? I don't know if the stream's ready to go.
We'll do that
yeah.
before we go.
Okay, good.
For sure. So we do have one other thing we want to talk about here before we end the stream, y'all, which is that we have a very, this is like Steve times 1,000 level special. We have a very special stream coming up for you all, which is this Saturday. We're celebrating our 3-year streamiversary. On the date, actually, March 30th is the very first day that we ever ran this stream 3 years ago. It's been a very long time. Some of you, I saw Narcoleptic Penguin out there. Some of you have been here since the very beginning. Some of you have joined us along the way, and we want to celebrate with all of you the last 3 years and the time to come. So we're gonna just hang out with y'all, have a party. We got a bunch of special guests coming in, one of whom is in chat. Kit is gonna be joining us in person for the stream, which is awesome. Finally get a mod, one of our long subs, in on the stream playing games with us. We also have a couple other awesome streamers joining us. Emma Skyward and A Bit Too Lethal are going to be there with us. So it's going to be just a really good time. A lot of fun group party games, just hanging out, doing some silly stuff. We are going to have some cool giveaways for things on Saturday. And overall, yeah, I'm really excited about it. And you know, we feel really blessed to have you all in the community showing up every week or every other week or once a month, however often you're here. It means a lot to still be able to put on this stream for you all. So we're very much looking forward to celebrating that. So that's what we got coming up. It's going to start at 3 p.m. Pacific, so it's a different time than normal. But check Twitter, Discord, etc. We'll put out the announcements on that, and that's going to happen on Saturday. Guilty will be there. Guilty's going to be there for the stream. Sam's ditching us because he hates happy times, basically.
True.
It sounds
True.
He
My
died.
quarters are
Yeah.
gonna be there anyway.
Sam died in an explosion, so he can't come to the stream.
Yeah, that's right.
But the ghost of Goofy will perhaps be there in chat.
Goofy Coopster.
So that's all we have for you all now. We're working on the April schedule. We have some cool stuff coming up. Possibly a reunion stream with some people you haven't seen in a while. Maybe some cool evolution-related things.
The game
Hint,
will
hint.
evolve? What?
Yeah. So lots of cool stuff coming up in April. We might be able to talk about it more on Saturday. So make sure you tune in for that as well. And I think that's all we have for you tonight. So
All right.
Thanks everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for showing us this game. It was amazing. We all really enjoyed it. Chat really enjoyed it. We will see you all on Saturday, and have a good night, everyone.